right, so I made a video a couple days ago, 2 days ago now, which is, we'll put a link in the description, of the newish BlueSound PowerNode Edge, which is a powered amplifier, digital analog converter. Basically, it's a streaming device with an amplifier. Oh shoot, don't hit that button. We get copyright protected. And so I made a video of what is the validity of this at 40 watts per channel with a pair of inexpensive, like these little guys, these P3s. And so P3s are 300 bucks a pair. These are a passive, just a regular pair of bookshelf speakers from PSB. And what is the validity of something like that over, say, a Bluetooth pair of speakers? They actually make this same speaker in a slightly less powered, I believe it's 35 watts per channel, with an onboard amplifier, built-in amplifier. But the advantage, of course, of doing a streaming device is that I can do high-res music. And the question is, does it matter? Does it matter high-res versus Bluetooth? And is it worth me spending $400 more for a better amplifier and then a dedicated pair of speakers? And I think the answer is yes. So we answered the question. The quality, the sound quality is better. We get, I would say, maybe 25% more volume or more amplitude, but it still was a little, now I'm in a 1,600 square foot area here, it's still a little lean. I found myself sometimes really getting into listening to something, want a little bit more amplitude, a little more volume, and it just wasn't available. And so then I got curious, and I, an idiot, I have all this stuff on the shelf in stock, and so then I went and opened up another couple $1,000s worth of stuff, and I wanted to, I guess a little, like 1,500 bucks worth of stuff, and I wanted to see, okay, you have the new Edge versus the traditional PowerNode. And I'd always looked at the PowerNode as being the best option for a dedicated amplifier for the garage, assuming you don't have some huge power-hungry speakers. It really is a pretty decent amplifier in the sucker. That's rated at 80 watts per channel versus 40 watts. How much of a difference can I hear? I'm going to play you some stuff here for whatever that's worth, and I'm going to sort of talk about. There's really 4 combinations we could put together with these packages. So you have a $650 device, a $950 device, and then we have a $300 pair of speakers and a $600 pair of speakers. I'm sorry, $500, $300 and $500, $499 for the AM, or I'm sorry, the P5s. So we have a 4-inch woofer versus 5 1/4-inch woofer, same 3/4 inch. I think it's a 19 millimeter tweeter. It's a ferrofluid cooled, wave guided aluminum dome tweeter, which I've said this in many videos. I hate aluminum dome speakers. It's just harsh to me. Whatever Paul Barton does with the wave guide and the ferrofluid cooling, the neodymium magnet they put on the back of those tweeters, they're just magical for a speaker that, the speaker weighs like 4 pounds or 8 pounds, and it's a sort of a vinyl veneer, really inexpensive components that, when you look at it on the shelf, it looks really fancy. You're really not going to touch it, but when you take it out of the box, and you end up with this like marvel of a speaker. When I originally got these, I had no interest in them. It's just that it was the first time in my life I'd gotten access as a dealer to BlueSound, NAD, and PSB, so I just bought everything, one of everything. And so I bought these and fell in love with them. I just can't believe what we can get out of a $500 pair of speakers. So, Combo 1. So let's just go through the stats of this. If you're interested in nerd stats, I'm going to give you the real world stuff, the stuff that I think that matters. I own this stuff versus I wasn't given it. It's not free. I literally paid for this, and then I opened the box, and now I have to try to sell it open box. And I have these in various places in my house, and have been testing and playing with these things for the last year and a half or so. And so this isn't really a review. I'm just telling you my experience. I think that's pretty different than a review. So 40 watts per channel, Same exact processor. It's what is that, a 1.8 gigahertz ARM processor, so it was a little, like, basically a cell phone chip in here. Pretty capable processing power. I find that these act really quickly. They turn off, they turn on. They like, if you had multiple of these in your house, that's really what you may end up with, a bunch of BlueOS stuff in your house. You can switch back and forth. I'll show you switch back and forth really quickly with the app. And so it's app driven, app controlled. You do have some controls on the top, and they're virtually identical, but most of the time you're going to use your phone to control it. And here's the key distinction when you start doing streaming digital analog converters. Remember I'd mentioned the AM3s or AM5s, the powered speakers, you're going to connect to them via Bluetooth. So you're going to connect to them with your phone then becomes the processor player, and you're just sending a lower resolution signal, sub-CD quality, to your speakers. And so you're not going to get quite as much punch, you're not going to really maximize the output of the speakers, you're not going to get the best sound. Now, does that really matter in a garage or an office or somewhere that you don't have full control of the acoustics of the room with acoustic treatment and stuff like that? Probably doesn't matter much. But, I mean, there is a difference. There is a difference in sonic clarity, if you will. And again, if you're casually listening, it probably doesn't matter that much. But to me, if I can have it, I'd like to have it. So when you're going and connecting Bluetooth to a pair of speakers, or even AirPlay to a pair of speakers, you're not getting maximum quality or maximum output. With these, where we differ is my phone becomes a remote control. And so the onboard processing, or basically think of it like this: the player is not on my phone is just basically telling the player to turn on or off, to turn volume up or down. So then my phone becomes a remote control, and I'm using the full processing capability of these hi-fi or high-res digital analog converters. It's going to take the digital signal, convert it to analog, and output it to your analog speakers through some speaker wire, through a low voltage connection. And so these two have the exact same processing capabilities with one exception, and I'm not sure how much this matters if you read through the specs. This has a 32-bit 384 kilohertz, I believe I'm denoting that correctly, output stage of the DAC. So in other words, I believe in the PowerNode, over the PowerNode Edge, the PowerNode has a little bit different output stage, so a little bit higher end chip, if you will, on the very last set of processing that's going to send the signal out to the speakers. I don't know if I can hear that because we're also getting quite a bit more amplification capability. Now, the other cool thing about these devices is that BlueSound, if you're not familiar, BlueSound, PSB, and NAD are all owned by Lenbrook out of Canada. And so they all work together. And so when like for instance, the AM5s and AM3s, the powered speakers from PSB have basically a Class D NAD amplifier built in, a similar amplifier to what these have. BlueSound, the amplification technology is designed and sourced by NAD. The NAD stuff has BlueOS capability, which is sourced and designed by BlueSound. And so their architecture, it all kind of communicates and works well together. And then they're taking best-in-class Dolly speakers, is another company owned by Lenbrook, and they use some BlueOS stuff, and they'll generally recommend NAD amplification. So the neat thing about these particular devices is that NAD seems to be the only company, I'm sure there's others, that really went all in on Class D amplification. Think of it as chip amplification instead of a big toroidal transformer and some big, big capacitor. The amplification architecture is very different. You have Class A, Class AB, and Class D, which is usually cheap, low res, which was great for subwoofers and car audio subwoofer amplifiers and things like that. But NAD has really taken the technology, and the beauty of Class D amplification is it's super, super clean, and it's also very efficient. So if you have a garage or somewhere where you don't have a lot of ventilation, these guys run extremely efficiently. They run really cool, and I've found that even in a high humidity, high heat change in a garage, in a cabinet, I found these things to continue to work really well, so we don't have heat issues. And so we have clean power, we have cool running power, and then with these guys, we can get a decent amount of power output to power a pair of speakers. So your first inclination is 40 watts or 80 watts, that's not enough. Well, these both have, and this is where I think the biggest difference comes between these two. It's $300 difference. The PowerNode has, they call it, what was it, IHF or something or other. Think of it, they call it dynamic power. So the ability for the amplifier to provide short bursts of current and power to a pair of speakers. This one is, again, it's rated 40 watts per channel at 8 ohms, and then it will output, I believe, 50 watts in dynamic power. Or this will output 130 watts in dynamic power. Now remember, speakers also, change impedance depending upon demand. Even though these are nominally rated at 8 ohms, at different instances, they may register 4 ohms, 2 ohms, 3 ohms, and so the dynamic power capability of this is somewhere in the, I believe they rated it like 220 watts or 230 watts per channel. This one is rated at a peak output at 4 ohms of 80 watts. And so the dynamic power capability of this box versus this box is quite a bit different. And what we get from that is I'm going to show you when we listen here, we get more mid-range punch, you get less bottoming out of the woofer, clipping of the amplifier, and you get quite a bit more volume headroom. So I can take a little baby speaker like this, I add the higher output amplifier, and I can turn the thing up higher than the speakers can handle. Whereas this, I'm going to peg the volume. It's kind of like I have a go-kart with a governor on it, and I just peg the gas, or I peg the accelerator as much as possible. I want more, but it doesn't have any more. And so that's what you'll experience with the Edge. But for $300, if you're never going to those levels, then spending the extra money, the sonic clarity is probably not that much different where it would matter. So let's take a look at combination one. Combination one is $950. So, and I made a dedicated video on this that we talked about earlier. So the Edge amplifier, 40 watts per channel, the 60 watt per channel capable, so these are rated to handle 60 watts. Now I can give them more, but that's what they're rated. They really are requesting, so they really, I think, built this amplifier with these speakers in mind. And so you have a $300 pair of speakers, a $650 DAC amplifier, digital analog converter amplifier, streamer, if you will, and then a little bit of speaker wire. I've got say 10 feet of speaker wire at 80 cents. I got $8 worth of speaker wire. So $958 for this combination. Now I have to play some goofy copyright-free stuff, and so I'm not going to be playing high res. I'm going to be playing CD quality via AirPlay. So AirPlay is rated, or maximum capable is a 16-bit 44.1 kilohertz, which is CD quality. I think AirPlay may be 48 kilohertz. Maybe someone can correct me in the comments there. No, I don't think it really matters that much. So one of the greatest things, that's what I forgot to mention, the most important part of this whole thing is BlueOS. BlueOS is on a completely different level than Sonos or some of these other, like if you're using Amazon Alexa or Apple HomeKit or something like that to connect your music somehow, or of course if you're using Bluetooth or something like that, a Bluetooth speaker. So BlueOS, the great part about BlueOS is that you can set it up You can software update it. You can add and subtract devices. You can do whatever you want to do. If you have your network set up and let's say you had 10 of these in your house all throughout and they were all labeled something. If your friend walked into your house, asked what your Wi-Fi password was, they log in and let's say they used Apple Music or Pandora or Spotify. If they log into Spotify and they were in your master bath or they were in the guest bath and you had a Bluetooth, a BlueOS speaker in there, they would see master bath and they could just click on the button in 10 seconds. And the beauty of it is that you set it up in 5 minutes. And so this is a way for you to get distributed audio throughout the house. There's tons of versions or tons of different devices you can do. For example, my house on the street here, I've got full NAD, the custom install version. They call it a CI580. So I have, I think, 7 or 8 different zones of this audio at my house, and I don't have to do squat. One of the other magics, I'm able to connect to this via AirPlay in 5 seconds. Once I connected this to my network, and I can see, it's PowerNode and PowerNode Edge, just like that, in iTunes or Apple Music, I guess they call it now. And so I could switch from one to the other in 1 millisecond. I could check on both of them and play them both at the same time if I wanted to. So Bluetooth, AirPlay, direct through BlueOS and the BlueOS app, all connect, all can be handshaked back and forth, all can be played at the same time. You can play all 8 zones, you can play, however you want. Really, really simple to operate and sounds fantastic as well. All right, so let's play our first combination, $950. And then I can go into my BlueOS app and I can see my PowerNode Edge and it'll show that I'm AirPlaying, and then I can control my volume from my phone. We're capped at 57 hertz with these speakers. I'm at 1,600 square feet and I'm filling the whole room. It's pretty incredible. That my heart stops beating when I'm with you is true. I never felt this way when you walked out that door. I didn't think I would care. One thing I will make mention, if you do buy this stuff, and if it kind of freaks me out sometimes, make sure that your speaker binding posts are screwed down, otherwise you'll get some vibrating and you'll swear that the woofer's breaking. But make sure your binding posts are screwed down. So this combination, I just made some quick notes. I spent probably an hour or 2 the other day just sitting here listening back and forth with different combinations. So I said this is a great lower volume budget solution. It's $950, $958 if you buy some speaker wire. I said you'll tend to, on certain songs, this song not being one of them because it's so bass heavy, I'm not going to want to run full volume because you'll tend to get some bottoming out of the woofer. But you tend to reach volume limits. Like I was listening to some Perfect Circle song, and I felt like I wanted a little bit more just because I was kind of jamming out in here. And I kind of reached the limit where it was pegged, and I wanted a little bit more out of the speakers. And I said, I feel like I like a little bit more. This is my least favorite option, except in areas where it just volume is not what you're pursuing. Say at a small office, if your garage, if you're in like a neighborhood where you have lots and lots of people that are nearby, where you have say your 2-car garages right next to your neighbors, or you're in like an apartment complex where you're not going to be able to play high volumes anyway. The mid volume clarity and quality or tone of the speakers and combination of the amplifier is freaking fantastic. So I think if you have like a 20 by 20 garage and you have a bunch of neighbors and you're never going to really rip into the system, I think it's a great combination. But it is something that to keep in mind, that you're going to reach a limit of volume on this thing. You're also going to be working the speakers a little bit harder just because they have some more headroom for more power. And so even when you are listening to it at max volume, you're beating up the speakers a little bit more because you may be getting close to amplification clipping. So option 2, which would be, I think, money no object, you have the best option. I guess money no object, you'd be buying something like these here, but in this combination, obviously the best solution is buy the most expensive amplifier and the most expensive speakers, but you're really not much more. So we're $950 and $500, so we're $1,450 and $8, $10 a speaker wire. So we're $1,450, and I'm telling you, this combo, so I'm gonna switch over, I'm gonna handshake over to my PowerNode. This is like freaking good. So I'm at 50% volume, and I haven't even gotten started. The soundstage just grew, I would say, 100%. It just got bigger, less bright. Obviously, we have more bottom end because the bigger woofer, the more amplification. But I swear to you, that output stage, the output stage of the PowerNode, I think is where the real difference comes in. Obviously, you have more headroom, more dynamic power output. I just can't imagine, I guess it depends. If you're pushing the limit of your budget at $900 or $1,000, and you don't value music that much, you don't care that much, you just want some background listening. But if I'm in it this deep, for $500 more, I can get like a really legit set of speakers. Like this could be a legit garage audio system for the rest of your life. I mean, this might eventually hardware out, as technology changes. But they're pushing a software update on these things like twice a month at times, and it takes a few minutes to update the software. But I would wager this puppy will last you 10 years. You'll be able to use it for a long, long time. So obviously this is my favorite combination. My notes I made when I was sitting here listening. Obviously the best combo, biggest soundstage, best headroom, less bottoming out of the woofer. If you add a subwoofer, this will just blow you away. Like I would want, in a perfect world, I'd want the $1,000 SB2000 with this from SVS, and you'd have just such an amazing combination. Let me turn this on the rest of the way. Just pause this here, it's annoying me. Let's see, you get a lot more mid-range snap versus the edge on the bigger speakers, and then there is it's not making an effort. Like I don't feel like there's any compromise there in the most expensive combination. And again, to me, forgive me, I mean, I'm a snob. This would be like bottom basement of what I'd be willing to do, but like today. But if I'm a younger guy, like I would have killed to have a combination like this in my garage versus some like Bluetooth speaker, some old outdoor speakers I had laying around. And the combination of this with Tidal high-res music, just absolutely fantastic. So another combo could be, so if I just take and just flip these, so if I swap the speakers over, the in-between options are, I do the edge amplifier on the bigger P5s, or I do the PowerNode on the smaller P3s. So it seems kind of counterintuitive, but I think it comes down to dollars. How much dollars have you allocated this, or if somebody's buying a gift for you or something like that. So what which one's better. And so what you're going to get, so let me switch back over to, I keep forgetting I'm using the AirPlay here. Let me go back to the same song. And let me switch back to, so I'm gonna go Edge. So PowerNode Edge, big speakers.
I leave love for my dreaming, 'cause I don't want my heart to bleed. You wanna hear me say that I can't.
So we have, I think this is a good combo, to be honest. You're going to reach max volume. So let's say, again, using our example where you can't, you got neighbors, you got, issues, you're not able to crank the music, or you just don't do that. You don't crank music in your normal listening environment. These are going to add a little bit bigger sound stage. Just they feel bigger. The presence of the whole thing feels bigger. You're going to need a little more bottom end because of the bigger cabinet, the bigger woofer. You are going to reach volume limits. Certain songs, you're going to be like pegged, like wanting to turn it up a little bit more if you're looking for that. But this combo is $1,150, so it's $200 more than the base set. And so I think I would rather have the lower end amplifier and the bigger speakers than having the bigger amplifier on the little speakers. So you're going to get, I would wager, maybe 10% more volume if I went big amp, little speaker versus little amp, big speaker. They're going to get maybe a 10% more volume because of the more amplification, but I just think it sounds better to go Edge and P5s than it does PowerNode and P3s. Let's just play that just so you won't yell at me for not freaking playing the stupid song on the other speakers.
We never fight about who was right, but I keep denying and we start fighting again and again and again and again. 'Cause
yeah, now that even I didn't make this in my notes, but anything, the PowerNode is just, it smoothens out the tweeter, smoothens out the high frequencies. It takes takes any kind of harshness out. I would that's not fair, because I wouldn't say the Edge is harsh. It just softens the tweeters up a bit. That extra power makes a pretty big difference. So just to kind of reiterate, so the P5 and Edge was $1,150. The P3, so the P3s and the PowerNode was $1,250. I think for my $100 less, if I'm not looking for just 10% more volume, I'm going big speakers, little amplifier. So this video is really about Edge versus PowerNode, and which makes sense. I think the biggest takeaway is, if you're going to do the Edge, if you're going entry level on this, like, I wouldn't power any Dynaudio speakers with this. Like, if you're even the entry level emits any kind of inefficient speaker, CAF, monitor audio, B&W, if you have some speakers that are, actually these are pretty inefficient. I think these are rated at 87 decibels sensitivity. But if you're doing any kind of speaker that is a bit more power hungry, you're really going to be underwhelmed with the output of this. This I classify as a mid-volume, high quality streaming device that save you a few bucks. But again, if you're in the $1,000 range, I'm sure you could scratch together another couple $100 and do something a little bit better. The PowerNode is a true hi-fi amplifier device, low-powered hi-fi device with great processing, great connectivity, great app control, or you can get full high-res audio and then have a really great experience. Even if you're in your living room, you can and you're starting out and building a system, a pair of P5s and a PowerNode will, I'm telling you, will blow you away. And you can add a subwoofer in the future, but a PowerNode could power a set of, I put the Evoke 20s, which are, you know, a $2,200 pair of Dynaudio speakers on this, and it sounds great. Now, if I'm doing that, I'm probably going to buy one of the bigger NAD DACs, like a C388 or C399 with more power, just to get the maximize the output of the speakers. But in general, these PowerNodes are really quite incredible. Of course, the sister to these is the Node. The Node is the preamp version. The Node doesn't have an amplifier built in. That would be used for something like a pair of studio monitors or something like that, which I love so much in the garage. So I think that the Edge has a place. We do stock them. I think the Edge combined with the P5s is a nice combination for most people in most applications. But it's just, my advice would be, for the $300 difference, I'm almost always going to want to, buy the PowerNode. Both come in black. You can get them in black or white. But in the garage, I'm generally going to buy a black PowerNode and then power whatever speakers. It could really power pretty much anything with that. But this combination, I think, if I'm 26-year-old Matt, I'm buying this and a pair of P5s in my garage, and then taking some old subwoofer I had, or maybe waiting for a subwoofer on sale or something like that, and I'm loving life in my garage with that combination. The P3s, I think, are a little lean, a little small for most applications, but I don't think you can go wrong with either of these. I mean, I had to sit here for a couple of hours to find the subtle differences, and most of it just simply comes down to the amount of power available for output. But the quality of character of how these speakers sound on these amplifiers, combined with the ability to power bigger speakers. I've spent a lot of time with the PowerNode and all kinds of different speaker combinations. It's really awesome. So hope that's helpful. Just my real world assessment of what I think matters. Excuse this wiring is driving me crazy. I almost got the zip ties out instead of putting it all together. I'm going to post this on Instagram. Depending on when you're watching this, I may still have these, but I'm going to sell these like 20% off. I've opened them up, listened to them for 2 hours. I'm going to put them back in the original box. So they were all brand new right out of the box. But I was sitting here playing with this and the P3s, and I'm like, I really want to hear the difference with the P5, so I figured I'd make another video for you. So anyway, thanks for watching. Go to obsessedgarage.com and go to the audio section of the site. I have all different kind of audio solutions, studio monitor solutions, passive speaker solutions. We do have AM3s, AM5s in stock. If you want just a simple Bluetooth option, those are $550, $750 combinations. Would be sort of entry level for the garage. Or of course we have this stuff all the way up to high-end NAD. If you, I love talking about this stuff. If you ever have any questions, hit me up, Matt at obsessedgarage.com. You shoot me an email, and I'll happy to chat with you about some different combinations you're thinking about for your home theater, your office, your garage, wherever. And I'm telling you, garage audio, great audio in the garage is a life-changing and a very, very worthwhile investment in your sanity in life. There's nothing better than listening to a high-res, high-quality track of an artist that you appreciate while you're doing a major project in the garage, of changing oil, brakes, doing a big detail, swapping a transmission. I think that anyone could really appreciate a better audio experience. And even though the garage is not the best listening environment, quality equipment can still do really well and make a significant difference. Yes, you might not be maximizing the output quality of the expensive speakers you buy, but the more, the higher quality stuff will make the garage listening experience better. Shoot, I have Dynaudio Heritage Specials and C298 NAD amplifiers that's Dirac tuned in a 7-channel or a 5.1 channel setup in my garage and home, and I listen to music out there and watch more TV out there than I do in my my really expensive home theater that's a few feet away. So anyway, hit me up. Thanks for your support, and we'll see you in the next audio video. See you soon.